my name is Tanya Evans, and today I'm going to give you a quick tour of how easy our police check, work rights check, and working with children is. So starting in the dashboard, so as an administrator, you've received a login to the platform, and once you decide that you would like to send a request to a candidate, either one candidate or multiple candidates, by clicking request, coming in here, clicking I want to send a request, entering the candidate's name and their email address, and clicking over here on background checks. Now you want to be selecting a citizenship check, an Australian police check, entering their details, whether it's for employment or volunteer, entering the role that they'll be completing as part of this, as part of their employment, which state they're working in, and whether they are working with vulnerable groups. So let's say it's a unsupervised contact. And you also want to be sending a working with children and vulnerable people check. So dictating the state and whether it's for paid or volunteer employment. In this case, you can see over here, the requests have been summarised, the person's name, their email address, and you're simply clicking send the request. So once the person's received their request, they'll get an email, there'll be a live link and a single-use token contained in that email. The person simply clicks that URL, registers themselves, they need to sign up with an email address, and they will complete their requirements. For a police check, it is 3 simple steps. A working with children check, depending if they have the check or need to apply for it, maybe a couple of steps. And a work rights check is simply providing their name, advising whether they're an Australian or non-Australian citizen, and uploading evidence. Once those things have occurred, you'll start receiving email alerts, and that information will also be stored on the dashboard. And you can see here under background checks, there's various statuses. So waiting on candidate, ready to acknowledge, a working with children check, ready to submit to Vivo, and please review the police check in readiness. So choosing this one, working with children check, ready to acknowledge. Once that's an acceptable document, you can reject it if it's incorrect, or you can accept it. Moving on to a Vivo check, in this case, ready to submit to Vivo. WorkPro has a seamless integration with the Department of Home Affairs Vivo database. So you're simply checking this information, viewing the document that they uploaded, declaring that you understand that you're running this check through Vivo, and you're submitting the check. Now, I won't do that because this is a live system, but what you can expect is instant return of work rights information, full disclosure, classes, subclasses, and any work rights. And then quickly moving on to a police check, which is now ready to review. You can see this is the information that you entered as part of the request. The person's provided consent. These are the 4 identity documents that they have uploaded, including the signed consent and a linkage of identity, which is a selfie. You can view them if you want to. You don't need to though, because once you submit this document, and I close this window, you'll see that the status is updated to sent to WorkPro. One of our verification team will be opening that information, checking the identity, checking everything is in order against the application, and we'll be submitting that through to ACIC, which is the criminal database, on your behalf. The police check can be returned and will be returned within 30 minutes. So once you've received your email that the check has been completed, you can simply log back into the platform and you can see the result of that police check. And quickly looking down to see whether there's anything I can show you here with a police check outcome. There's actually not in this dashboard. So to summarise, WorkPro can seamlessly provide you with the work rights check, a working with children check, working with children or vulnerable people check, and also a police check. All of those checks can be quickly submitted to the candidate. They can complete their process within about 10 minutes. And from your perspective, you've got a single dashboard where you can quickly open checks, submit checks, and return those checks all within about 30 minutes. That is the conclusion of today's tour. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me.